So module 25, here in this module, we'll discuss about corpus and lexicography. As we have already discussed earlier, how handmade corpora have been used in lexicography, dictionary comparison. Here we are in the frame of the computational lexicography, we are trying to understand how corpus developed in different ways can contribute in the work of dictionary comparison. So here we will try to be more specific with reference to Indian languages, particularly Bangla, and try to show how corpus can or in fact being used for dictionary works when we are trying to develop a digital dictionary. First thing is that what is the benefit of using corpus in dictionary making? So why we did need to have corpus in dictionary making? So we can point out that since corpora are available in presentable form, we can extract all relevant and authentic and typical lexical items with examples of their usages from corpus within a very short span of time. That means within a short span of time, we can collect large amount of data, large amount of words with a wide range of their sense variations and usage variations, which are very important ingredients for developing a corpus, a dictionary. We can also extract faithful frequency information of words from the corpus to attest their relevance in the language as well as their claim to be included in the dictionary. As we know that we want to have a choice of words to be included into the dictionary. So it is not that all the words which are available in the language are normally put into the dictionary. It's a massive concept. But generally people make a choice or make a selection of the vocabulary to be considered for including in the dictionary. So corpus is a very good source to give us the most frequently used forms to be considered for including into the dictionary. Third, we can retrieve quantified information of collocation from corpora to show the patterns of lexical combinations in sentences. Information of this sort is useful to text writers and language learners alike. So corpus also gives a unique opportunity to us to identify the patterns of collocations, patterns of lexical associations, also patterns of lexical generativity. So three important ingredients which we need to be furnished in dictionary. So corpus is the best way where we can get these things. If we get a post-tagged corpus, for example, where all the words are tagged at the parts of speech, that becomes highly useful for word sense disambiguation as well as for more sensible groupings of the polysemous words and words in the dictionary. So even if there are large databases, that cannot be much useful until the analysis is post-tagged. So our second argument or next argument is that it is better that if you have a post-tagged corpus ready to us. So you can identify all the words who belong to different parts of speech and classify them based on the parts of speech rather than depending on our. We can also know how words change their parts of speech based on the context of the use. And we can also, if they have, include that information in the dictionary, the whole range of information to showing that how words, polysemous words or homonymous words change their parts of speech depending on the context of their occurrences in texts. We can retrieve all textual information, register variation, genre and domain information, and many socio-linguistic information. That is, user, description, gender, age, metadata from annotated corpora to supply more accurate information of the words to be presented in the text. Finally, if there is a monitored corpus, we can track how words are being replaced by new set of words in the language. If you have a diachronic corpus or a huge diachronic or monitored corpus, we can find out which words are in vogue which words are dying out, which words are coming, which words are also changing their meaning and function with the change of time. It has had many cases we have noted that some words once upon a time very much in use but has lost. Particularly, I can give an example at present. Now, because of some advancement in technology and something like that, the ink, kali of pen ink, is never used. So people don't know how this ink is made of or whether this is actually there. And the container that used to keep the ink, liquid ink, which is called doa, that term is lost forever. So people no more use that particular term because there is no more use. So in our earlier corpus, that particular term is very much frequent in use. But in the modern day Bangla corpus, there is no use of the term. So what he said is that if you have a diacritic corpus, we can easily trace the change in the lexical stock. Some words were very much in use at certain point of time, but now lost their places, almost obsolete, or simply lost. They are no more in use. On the other hand, some set of words which are very much used at the time now used in different sense, different meaning, different connotations. So those words are still present there, but the original meaning which was originally meant to is no more used at present. And third, we can find out a new set of words which were not present earlier, but now has come into practice, has come into play, come into use. So if you have a diacritic corpus, a lexicographer is far more happy because he can represent the changes of words with the change of time. Lastly, we can use evidences from corpora to complement our observations or refute the intuitions of earlier dictionary makers. When they furnish data, it is not always that they have referred to original actual usages. Sometimes some examples, some usages, some information is actually intuitively gathered. So with reference to the corpus, we can now find out whether these are true or false. So there are many such advantages from using a corpus in dictionary comparisons. So if we really want to develop a corpus, a dictionary based on corpus, we need to follow a very systematic procedure, systematic method to do that. Let us identify how to do that. First, the data analysis, the collection of data from corpus. So for dictionary, we need a large number of words. Say we need huge number of words in the order of lakhs to be included in the dictionary list, because we make a final choice, final selection which words to. And corpus is for this case is the best resource which can give words from all disciplines. So we want lexical stock not only from natural science or mass media or social sciences, from all disciplines of language use. Maybe say from creative writings, computer literature, contemporary literature, natural science, social science, technology, arts, humanities, business, commerce, medicine, newspapers, magazines, advertisement, court proceedings, personal diaries, personal letters, official letters, and many other similar sources. That means our goal is to have an exhaustive lexical list ready at our hand for selections of the appropriate words to be included in the dictionary. And this is only possible only when we have a huge large corpus ready for access for us. So what we can have here, we can get, once we we can get all kinds of words. We can compile together and order them in a particular pattern, say alphabetically, order them or frequency based occurrences ordering. So once we do that, we get the entire list of words available in the language as far as the corpus is concerned. Then we do a certain amount of processing, type token analysis, tokenization, and we can get huge data ready to be included in the dictionary. So there is no other options for us open to where from we can get the largest possible collection of word stock of a language. So if you always keep in mind that we are talking about a dictionary which is a general reference diachronic dictionary. It is not a specific dictionary. And if it is a general dictionary, it's a referential dictionary, and it is a both diachronic and synchronic dictionary, then definitely the lexical stock of the dictionary has to be maximum. And that maximum lexical stock can only be retrieved from an equally well developed general referential oriented corpus. It is not that from the written text we always like to have the word lists. We can also think of words from the spoken text interventions. As you have noted that there are some words which are normally used in speech but hardly used in spoken written text. We can also collect those kinds of words from the spoken text if there is a speech corpus. And this speech corpus can be balanced, evenly distributed with data from all kinds of discourses, say from narration, eyewitness accounts, instructions, reminiscence, conversations, arguments, dialogues, mimicries, onomatopoeias, and all kinds of varieties. So, first point about the collection of words for developing a general dictionary, referential dictionary, corpus is the best source. Once the lexical stock is ready to be put, the next important part is selection of lexical stock. As you have already said, all the words that are there available in the list are not to be included in this. As we know that certain words are automatic choices, they would come. Certain words are automatically rejected because they are not fit to be considered. Mostly in cases of proper nouns, forget about those proper nouns, they are usually not included in the dictionary for obvious reasons. We can have a dictionary, separate dictionary of proper names, or person names, or animal names, or plant names, or some other things. That is a specialist dictionary. But in general, in a normal dictionary, we don't give importance to the proper names to be included into the list. So they are obviously outside the scope to be included. So it may happen that we are only emphasizing to those words which are more fit to be included into the dictionary. They are dictionarial words. Means they have the potential to be included. Lexicographic words, we call them. At the same time, we need to have the stock of the multi-word strains. That includes idioms, set phrases, proverbs, and many other constructions like that, which may be included in the dictionary. So these lists also can be possible to prepare from a large corpus. So when a large lexical database is created, we can classify them: single word units, two-word units, compound word units, reduplicated word units, multi-word units. So thus we can classify them and generate different stocks. And then we can make a selection which are to be included and which are not to be included in this dictionary. So the information available from corpora for lexical items for a reference dictionary are headwords, then pronunciation, spelling of parts of speech, morphological information, then grammatical information, definition, synonyms, polysemy, lexical generativity, collocation, usage, idiomatic and various others, illustration, citations, and even annotations. In all those domains where informations are furnished in the dictionary, we can directly retrieve those things in the corpus itself. Now, we are talking about the headwords. As you know, what are the headwords? Which are allowed to be there in the dictionary? So headwords actually those normally written in block letters or in bold face, and in the left hand side, and the other part is the information part in the dictionary. So those headwords are basically collected from the dictionary, from the corpus. Now, if you give a full list of words, they can be classified into three types: single word units, multi-word units, and sometimes the non-word units also there. They can be treated as words. So all those different types, including the class of single word units, you can have all types of words: common words, tails, bases, roots, multiple words, sandhi words, foreign words, native words, local words, colloquial words, portmanteau words, taboo words, canned, jargon, and many other types. They use paragraphs. They can be completely treated as single words and be entitled to enter into the list. The multi-word units like compounds, reduplicate words, idioms, phrases, proverbs, collocations, quotations, set expressions, they are also treated as multi-word units, are also entitled to be included into the list of the text. Then there are non-word words, which are called non-words but lexicographic words. Since they are included in the lexicography, in the dictionary, they are treated as lexicographic words, but they are normally treated as non-words, like affixes, inflection markers, case markers, person markers, plural markers, tense markers, aspect, infinities, particles, abbreviated forms, eco-forms, empty words. These are basically non-word entities, but they are lexicographic words, but because they are allowed to be included in the text. All those things can be collected from the corpus to be included. Then comes the issue of spelling. This is a very crucial issue for Indian languages, particularly, not so much in cases of British English or American English. Because in those languages, spelling variation is not a very crucial thing. Most of the cases, English has a very fixed spell and everyone follows this. And there might be some variations between British English and American English. But as such, that is not a big problem. You can find out here 200 to 300 words where you can find variations in spelling between British English and American English. But for Indian languages, it is a tough situation to find out how a particular word can have several spellings. So since spelling variation is a very recurrent, common, pertinent or prevalent problem here in Indian languages, corpus is the best place where from we get all alternative variants of the single form. If I am not mistaken, I can give you the languages like Tamil, Telugu and Bangla. I have noted that minimum variation of spelling is 2 and maximum can go up to 20. I personally have verified, made a study and found that there are at least 5,000 words in Bangla, if not less, which register spelling variation ranging from 2 to 20. So this is a very crucial situation. So first thing is that we can refer to a corpus to find out how many variations are found for a single word. So corpus is the best place. I can give an example here that in cases of Bangla, I have noted that the word Kolkata, this particular word has got 4 different spellings. Or the word Christian has got 80 different spellings, and all are used quite frequently in the corpus. Now, as a lexicographer, as a dictionary developer, I am really confused to decide which out of many alternatives should be considered for my dictionary. So there are 2 alternatives. First thing is that I can select any one of them and give other rest of the 7 spelling variations for the word and say that okay, there are so many spelling variations of the word available in the language. Or if I don't have that possibility, what I can do is that I can select out of those 8 alternatives. Now the question is, which one I should select? Again, I'll go back to corpus. I'll normally ask for the most frequent form, most frequent spelling used in the corpus. That gives a kind of attestation that since it is most frequent, that means it has a larger usage among the language users. Larger degree of acceptability among the language users. That means people always like to use that particular spelling. If this is so, then that can be accepted into the dictionary as the basic spelling, and other variants being provided there if possible as alternative forms. So this is, I can give an example here that for our cases we have taken hollow, law as the most frequent form of spelling to be considered for the dictionary, keeping aside these 4 alternative spelling variations as variants of this particular word. So here our argument is that corpus is a good resource whereby we can find out all the possible spelling variations of a particular word, and based on certain parameters, certain conditions, certain reasons, you can select one of those alternatives and also furnish the other variants in the dictionary. Parts of speech is an important area where a dictionary can connect. So we need to provide the parts of speech of the words. Now it is not very easy to identify the exact parts of speech when the word is isolated. So until and unless word is put in a particular context, it is very difficult in which parts of speech the word belongs. Suppose let us take some example from English maybe for better understanding. Cook. It can be an adjective or a noun. So in my dictionary, I can call it either adjective or a noun or give away the possibilities. Similarly, if we think that there is some word which is more parts of speech variations, then it is always better that we should refer to the corpus to identify in how many different parts of speech it is used. And suppose I can give an example that in Bangla, the word kache has 4 different parts of speech which are not normally mentioned in dictionaries. So all those different parts of speech are actually retrieved from the corpus, and all those 4 different parts of speech as well as their usages in different contexts and in this particular parts of speech are furnished. So information of parts of speech is validated by actual example of word in corpus. Parts of speech tagged to a word is actually noted in use in text. That is very important. And number of parts of speech identified for a word is also fixed, because from the corpus we can find out the total range of parts of speech. Then comes the grammatical rules. Normally the standard dictionaries provide very least amount of grammatical rules because they are very readily available. But with reference to corpus, we can get a lot of information about it. Amount of grammatical information, type of grammatical information, and method of presentation of grammatical information. The 3 important points while we are presenting into this. So while we are trying to provide the grammatical information, we also provide how the morphemes are combined, in which sense it is, whether it is participial form or adjectival form, or how this is formed, if there is any change in the structure, a lot of information then we need. And all those information can be retrieved from the corpus to be furnished in the dictionary. Then comes definition and description. This is a very crucial thing because nowadays it is desired that all words presented there should have a full-fledged definition, because to avoid the question of circularity in dictionary, we need to present information in such a way that we can have a descriptive description. If I say, for example, in traditional dictionaries, I can refer to that in the traditional dictionary. Say, for Bangla, in Bangla, we found out kak, crow. It has been said that kind of bird. So we don't get much information about it from the dictionaries. But we need to have a full-fledged description of the object or the element or the entity in the dictionary. So that much of information may be retrieved from the corpus to give her more detailed information about it. So here the argument is that definition and descriptions of the head words should be most elaborately, adequately represented into the dictionary, and the more load of information would come from the corpus, because corpus gives us better scope for better understanding of the words used in different contexts. So it is always better that experts commend that extract information from corpora to define words in multiple ways, as defining word from multiple angles gives better treatment to the word, and that word deserves for better understanding what it is. So scholars or dictionary developers have always argued that words should be adequately defined with maximum reference to the context it is used. The semantic information, the information about the meaning of the words, is another important area where we need to have reference to context. As you know that when word used in a text, it gives many senses, many meanings. So the whole range of meanings, synonyms or senses variations, wide scope of these senses that the corpus word can denote can be captured from the corpus itself. So corpus provides an empirical resource, data, where you can identify a particular word, to identify the total range of meanings it includes, and capture those meanings, represent those meanings in the text. Usage is one of the important clues or important area which cannot be ignored in cases of dictionary corpus. And corpus is the best resource where you can get maximum usage variations of words and other elements. So no dictionary can think of all possible kinds of usages of it. This is not possible. No human being can do that. So if a word has 1,000 different usages in the corpus, we can all assemble together, identify the patterns of usage, classify them, and accordingly present them in the dictionary. This is possible only with reference to corpus. Also, if there is some sociolinguistic tags or metadata tagged with the corpus, then also we can identify some important issues where, such as who uses this particular term or word, where it is used, where it is more frequently used, where it is less frequently used, in which sense it is used in the text. So all those information become very much useful in the compiling a dictionary. So the realization is something like that. If we think of is realized here in the model given here, that if we think that we should develop a dictionary, something like that, which is entirely corpus based, then this diagram or the figure presented here gives a complete picture how it can do. So we assume that we have a text corpus at our disposal, a very large text corpus, as well as we have a speech corpus under our disposal, which are combined together, can be assembled together, or can be utilized directly simultaneously to compile this. So how this can be done? So if you are developing a general dictionary, we are collecting lexicon or word list both from speech corpus as well as from text corpus. The pronunciation of the words, which are head words, which is to be presented here. The speech corpus is the best source wherefrom we can get sufficient amount of information to be presented for the pronunciation of the words. In cases of presenting spelling, we can have information from the text corpus. So text corpus can give us the best suitable platform where we get necessary data and information to furnish information of spellings of the words. Regarding the etymological words, we don't have any source. The speech corpus, neither the text corpus can help us in this. We can find out some other sources where we can get the data. To define the word, we can depend on text and speech corpus both. Meaning of the word can be captured both from text and speech corpus. Usage and illustration, other two important areas, can also be substantiated heavily with data and information retrieved from the speech and text corpus. So to conclude, what we can say is that in the modern day, a modern day's dictionary can never be built without reference to the corpus. Because corpus has better resources, well-planned resources, well-planned data and information to make our dictionaries much more useful, much more relevant for language study, for language development, language documentation, as well as to reflect on the present state of the words used in the dictionary in Indian language. So what we argue here is that for developing any dictionary in all major dictionaries and any reference dictionary in a language, it is always better and sensible to refer to the both speech and text corpora available in the language. Thank you.